Yo, what's happening, guys? I'm the Unknown Legend, and welcome back to another video game story time. So today we are going to be talking about the topic of why is Untoten in Tranzit. This is kind of an interesting story to talk about, because not a lot of people know the real reason why it's in the map. Because there's actually multiple reasons, but we'll get into that in the video. So, if you guys do enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It would help me out a whole lot. And without further ado, let's get started. So if you didn't watch my first video I made on Tranzit about the bus route B situation, I would highly recommend you go and watch that, because it actually has a lot to relate to this video. Not so much the bus route B of it, but just what Tranzit is and why it's important. But to make a long story short, basically, all Tranzit is a testing facility that is actually based off a real one in real life. It is the Hanford site in Washington. It's like a nuclear testing facility, but in zombies, it's a testing facility for Broken Arrow. Basically, Broken Arrow uses it to test all their 115 crap. That's why there's zombies walking around everywhere. That and, you know, the Earth was blown up and all that stuff. All that fun stuff. But what does that have to do with Untoten being in Tranzit, you ask? Well, let me get to it. So after doing some research and also just a personal theory of mine, I've come up with 3 reasons of why Untoten is in Tranzit. One of them is just my personal theory, and the 2 other are the gameplay and storyline reason why it's in the map. So, let's talk about it. So for the newer players to zombies, those of you who don't know, Untoten is the first ever Call of Duty Zombies map ever. It's the first one they made. It was not even really meant to be a zombies map. It just was kind of like a passion project for the developers of World at War.
That literally only exists because of our fans is our zombies.
Yeah.
It was a passion project inside the studio that totally should never have, you know, in any sort of like, I probably shouldn't even be here as a studio head because I let this thing happen at a time when the development was strained and the team was, you know, in a difficult place trying to release a historically authentic cinematic World War II.
And with that being said, it doesn't have its own file name in the console. Like if you go to the console and look up dev map, or not look up, but if you look up the dev map console name for Untoten, the dev map name is prototype. Like I think it's ZM_prototype, something like that. I'll put it up on screen. But yeah, that's what Untoten is called in the console, because, well, it was a prototype of zombies essentially. So they named it prototype. And then the other maps came along, like Verrucht is ZM_Verrucht. Shinonuma is ZM_Sumph, I think. And then Darice is ZM_Darice. But where am I going with this? Basically, the name for Untoten in Tranzit is the prototype. Like one word, like the prototype. That's what it's called. That's what it's referred to in Tranzit. Not in the map so much, but in the files, it's the model of it is named the prototype. So there's 2 things we can kind of infer from that. One, we can infer that that's what Broken Arrow called it, the prototype. Like it was some kind of testing thing, kind of like what nuclear testing sites do when they build the houses and then they drop the bomb and it blows the houses up so they can see what the nuke has, what kind of effects the nuke has on the house. Kind of like the same idea. It's called the prototype because that's what Untoten is. It's a prototype. And the second thing, that's the file name of it in World of War is ZM_prototype. So it's kind of like a callback in a way, like, you know, saying, you know, like a callback to World of War and also explaining what it is. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of people now know, but a lot of people used to not know that Tranzit is very lacking. It's very lacking in features and gameplay, and it's not really a great map, if I'm being quite honest. It's pretty subpar. But it's not exactly the map's fault. The consoles it came out at the time were not exactly state of the art. We're talking Xbox 360, PS3, very subpar performance. you know, in terms of stuff we got today, but that was, 2012. So, where am I going with all this? Basically, Transit was meant to have a bunch more content, a bunch more areas to explore, no fire, no fog, no denizens, nothing like that. It was also meant to have a lot more subsections of the map. Untoten was meant to be one of them. And when I say subsections, I'm talking about like town, like farm, diner, those little like mini maps you can play in the menu if you don't want to play Transit. Untoten was meant to be one of them. And honestly, I wish they would have kept Nact in, because it would have been a nice way for like new players to start playing the map and then go to Transit when they want to. But anyway, basically Transit was meant to be one of the mini maps is what I'm getting at. So it's not like the devs just chucked it in there because they thought it would be cool. It actually had a purpose. But there's something interesting that I found while I was researching for this video. One of the many cut game modes of Transit is called Containment. I'll put up what it is up on screen there. It's basically two teams fighting to keep zombies in, and whoever lets the zombies out first loses, essentially. Not really sure how that would work, because it sounds like they wouldn't attack you, they would just try to leave. So I'm not really sure how that would work. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see like a prototype of it, but it's obviously we'll never see that because it never came out. But the only map that this game mode will be played on is Untoten, which is interesting. My theory is they would have taken the bottom part of Nact and the top part of Nact, and that would be where the two teams are, and they would basically have to fight to keep all the zombies inside. That's my idea of what it could be. I'm sure I could be wrong. It could be something completely different, but that's just my idea. So those are a bunch of reasons why Untoten is actually important to the map. Like, it had importance, at least back before everything got cut. So Nact is essentially a relic of many cut features of the map, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of like a fossil in a way of it kind of being like left in, like, of it kind of being like frozen in time, and you seeing the first map in Transit at the time. I don't know, something like that. I'm not very creative when it comes to words, I guess. I don't know. So basically, we have boiled down to the main gameplay reason, or the old gameplay reason, you could argue, of Untoten being in the map, being in Transit, is it was a subsection of the map, and it also served as the main map of the game mode Containment. And there's a whole bunch of game modes that they cut for Transit, and if you're interested to check those out, I will put the link of where I found all of them, like all the cut content I found while researching for this video, in the description if you want to go check that out. It's really cool. I suggest that you do. Now, what purpose does Untoten serve today of it, the release version? What purpose does it serve? And it's not much, if I'm being honest. There's no zombie spawns, there's nothing there really of any importance. The only thing that's there, really, is a jet gun part, and that's it. And I think a nav card table part as well. I didn't see it while I was playing it. Like, I don't think you can see it in the gameplay, but I think I also had the nav card table built already, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just a jet gun part or maybe a nav card table part. So in terms of modern day importance, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can try and train zombies there, but it doesn't really work. So that's the gameplay reason of why it exists. Now, the story reason why it exists, there's not a whole lot of evidence to back it up, so I'm going to use some inference, if you will. The story reason is, I believe, it was a testing facility for Broken Arrow. Since Broken Arrow is essentially the American version of Group 935, they saw that Untoten had a big, it was a zombies map, so a zombie outbreak, whatever you want to call it. Basically, they had American soldiers fighting Nazi zombies, essentially. So maybe back in the day, they wanted to figure out what happened, so they built a model of Untoten where it all went down, and ran out of funding for it or decided it really wasn't that big of a deal. Case closed. Really not that much story to go off of when it comes to Nact in Transit. So story-wise, yeah, not a whole lot to go off of. So as far as content-wise, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Is it was meant to be a subsection of the map, and it was also meant to encase a game mode, containment. And then storyline-wise, I think it's just a testing facility for Broken Arrow. Like, it's a little render they made up to test something. I don't know. There's really not much info about it. Now, onto my personal theory of why they put it into the game. Kind of combines with the actual reason why, but basically, I personally think that it's two things. One, I think it's just an Easter egg. I think Treyarch just wanted to put it in the map because they thought it would be cool. A nice callback to the first map they ever made and where zombies started. And two, this is going back to some of the cut content. I think they wanted to put it into the map to give new players a familiar feeling of playing Nact instead of Transit. Like, they could play Nact for a little bit, get their skills up, whatever, and then hop into Transit when they're ready. And then, you know, all the DLC would come out after that, and then they could, you know, think what they want about the DLC, whatever. I think they just wanted to make Nact as a familiar, more comforting experience for newer players or older players that hadn't really played, like, most of Black Ops 1 and just wanted to play some World at War stuff. That's my personal theory of why Nact is in Transit. So, there you go. That is all the evidence I have of why Nact or Untoten is in Transit, along with my personal theory of why I think Treyarch added it. So, yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you want to see any other things explained in video games, just let me know. I love doing it. It's real fun. This was real fun to do. Shout out to this comment I put up on the screen. He wanted to know why Nact or Untoten was in Transit, and I was like, you know what? If you want to see a video, buddy, I would more than gladly make it for you, because I love making videos for people to watch. And yeah, that's about it. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.